Now very quickly before the video starts, this is Luke in the post-edit. Originally this video was planned for last week, but I wanted to wait and see if anything changed or would have helped the market, but as of now, nothing has. Now I don't want to use the word overreaction, but it somewhat seems like right now a lot of investors and players who are interested in skins are doing just that. And this is not just for right now, but whenever a dip like this happens, this exact situation is played on repeat. Players, but also investors will see the game is dead, nothing will save us, and well, we're still here, right? Now this exact situation with the same circumstances of a new game coming out, not doing so well, the market crashing and players leaving, yeah, that doesn't happen all the time. But the same thing happening right now where skins are falling, players are leaving, and people calling this a dead game has happened time and time again in Counter-Strike's history. And this is dating back all the way to the early days of Counter-Strike and not just CSGO. It's very obvious right now that CS2 needs some basic fixes. And while Valve's been delivering with doing as much as they can in the shortest amount of time possible, and while it's easy to see this from the updates this past month, right now we know nothing officially for new content or new/old features coming to CS2 at this very moment. A recent post on Twitter from ThorCS, I suggest you go check him out, pretty much sums up how I feel about this entire situation right now. No one really knows what's coming to Counter-Strike 2 anytime soon. Only the devs know, and well, some of those things couldn't even get released possibly. Now why I bring that up is because there's a pretty big rumor going around in the CS community right now of a new AI anti-cheat that doesn't view every file on your computer is apparently in the works according to Richard Lewis. Now this will be its own video later this week, and you're probably wondering why this is important. Well, it would grab some players who have left and others would gravitate to the game, therefore boosting the player count but also pumping up the market. At the moment, I can't really think of any words to describe how I feel or the future of CS2, but the best thing I can do is just to say I think everything's gonna be fine. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as most of us or probably all of us know, CS2 right now is currently seeing the biggest decline in player count, but also skins since 2018. Very similar to 2021 as well. Yesterday or earlier today's video, I'm not sure when this video is exactly going to get uploaded, we briefed on why the player count was dropping. A lot of that was due to the lack of optimization for the majority of CSGO players and gameplay for casuals. I suggest you go check it out for more detail and context for today's video. With CS players leaving recently, they seem to be also leaving with their skins. Yet there's also still many who are stuck here, not knowing what to do when it comes to buying, selling, but also investing. Prices as of now seem very volatile. Every weekly update that comes out for fixing skins, if 5 get fixed, 10 get broken, which is also not helping. Today's video, we're going to discuss the decline of the skins market, but most importantly, on the positive side of things, its recovery and how Valve can do so. Now, today's video sponsor is Skins Monkey. Skins Monkey is a buying and trading marketplace for your CS items. It makes a safe and easy way to trade out your inventory for something new. By using my code MANDO, you can get a deposit bonus of 35% alongside a free $5 in your first trade, with a max bonus if you spend $100 or more. With a large variety of skins, deposit options, alongside daily, weekly, and monthly giveaways, they're doing a great job rivaling other competition. If interested, it'll be at the top of the link in the description below. Firstly, the obvious, the decline. And for those wondering, this is all my opinions, so take all this with a grain of salt. Let's quickly roll back to the day the limited test began, all the way back in March of 2023, it now being November of 2023, almost going into 2024. The day those trailers came out from Valve on YouTube, CS players booted up their PCs and saw their inventory doubled, tripled, and for some, their portfolio was 4 to 6 times larger than normal. This was the very first red flag in my opinion. Whether it's CS skins, crypto, stocks, or anything that has a market that jumps this high, you have to know this isn't natural. But at the time, it sounded and looked like it was reasonable. Source 2 Counter-Strike was just announced after what feels like decades. Near the end of CSGO, it saw the biggest player count in CS history, and then CS2 comes out, that being with the limited test still in March and April. A lot of people like to forget, but less than 5% of the CS population during its entire duration was actually able to play and see what all the hype was about over all this time. And going to current day Counter-Strike, or just a little over a month ago, when the game actually fully released, a lot of people just called it CSGO with better graphics and also much more potential. That's what Valve puts it as. But most importantly, lacking maps, modes, and features from a 10-year-old game that made it great, that being Counter-Strike Global Offensive. I talked about in my most recent video about the decline of CS2, the state of CS2, whatever you want to call it, about how we could discuss for days or weeks on end about how CS2 should have been delayed, maybe shouldn't have been revealed for another year. Possibly Valve should have hired hundreds of more people to playtest the game, get these bugs sorted out way before, but obviously that's not the case. We have to look on the positive side of things and move forward. The deal's done, pretty much just beating a dead horse. I'm now going to check in with xmercycs on Twitter. I suggest you go check him out for detailed posts about CS2. He puts out what feels mini blogs about CS2 weekly, that being about the game itself, the declining player count, future content, but also most importantly the market, which goes very well with today's video. I agree with the majority of his statements and want to read his most recent tweet about the skins market. It's pretty lengthy, so I'm just going to touch on the points I feel like that are the most important parts. Links to him will be in the description below. At the very top, he says there is still no real demand. After prices went down quite a bit, investors started to guess where the dips end and bought those specific dips. Prices bounced, but with no demand after investors bought, they kept falling, reaching new lows, and he said in brackets for most items. And I think what he meant by that is right now there is no real demand for a lot of these investor items. And that's what you have to look at when buying items to invest into CS2. I talked about in my State of the Market video when CS2 first released, where I said it was pretty outrageous to think that people were just going to come into CS that don't know anything about the game nor the market, let alone how much these items actually cost, and would be buying really crappy butterfly knives, for an example, for over $1,000 in a place like the Steam market. That was just a false sense of reality in my opinion. And I know the casual audience might not be important to a lot of investors or people who buy things and trade things inside CS, but for the most part, those are the people who keep this market going and the player count also rising. He goes on to say the concurrent player base is now at the same levels where we saw them in 2021 to 2022, when prices were mostly half or less of what they are now, and it keeps going down. Now, for those who don't know or maybe need a quick recap, in 2021, CS pretty much saw a huge resurgence. This is when the player base started to really pick up and pretty much level off to where we left off in CSGO before going into CS2. Even when the player count was declining, skin prices were still pretty high, but they did end up dropping. And he relates it to then quite a bit with the player base right now, but also the skins market. The player count is almost the exact same as it was in 2021, yet skin prices are almost double or sometimes triple of what they were then. So that doesn't really make too much sense. People are just inflating items, but obviously not buying them, most importantly. So that's pretty important when it comes to investing because people aren't buying items right now. I think it's because a lot of people, one, aren't really interested, and as it goes for noobs and casual players, if I didn't know much about CS, didn't really care too much about it was the first game I downloaded on my computer because I just got it, maybe after I find out a little bit more about the game and see that prices are semi-stable and understand the market a little bit more, yeah, sure, but a day one person is not going to do so. And one of the last quotes I want to break down, he says the problem is the longer Valve takes to pump the player base, more investors start to give up and selling. That leads to a big problem. No real demand plus a lot of investors selling. And then he continues to say who is buying ? Other investors are trying to guess the bottom. Once they get it wrong, they sell, and the cycle goes on. I still don't see a reason to buy in the short term, but everything can change fast in a single update. Of course, there are several strategies to follow as of for now, but nobody knows when the bottom line will be. But my point here is to evaluate the presence to keep that in mind. Now, not just this, but all three of the statements he made, I couldn't really agree more. I think it's really important to realize as of now that most items are currently inflated and have been for some time. Now, with all the discussion of the decline, I now want to talk about Valve's road to recovery. Now, it's been a pretty hot debate amongst players, whether an operation would help the player count, but also skins. Now, this is all my opinion, but I don't think it would do too much. Players will come back, check it out, and leave due to the same problems that they have now. That being basic bugs, no gameplay for casuals, but most importantly, piss poor optimization for the majority of the player base. For those saying new skins for an operation or case would help out the market quite a bit, statistically during older operations, let's just take the last three for an example, older skins tend to go down when those come out because players want to sell their older skins and buy up the new ones. And it's not normally until after we see a rise of the new and old skins. I also want to mention once again that PC Gamer article Valve had just a few weeks ago. They stated they want to fix the game and meet player needs, quote unquote, before new content. And those are their plans for year one. Now, year one, do they mean by the end of 2023? Probably not. For now, 2 confirmed majors in 2024. In my opinion, Valve is going to do everything they can before those majors actually happen. The first one being March Copenhagen 2024 to make CS2 the most esports ready it's ever been. With sometimes 2 updates a day and sometimes also just 2 a week, these blog posts aren't short by any means. They're the most amount of fixes all at once anyway that we've seen in CS history. Maybe a little before or after the first major, if things are all going well, I could really start to see things rolling. In that same article towards the bottom, Valve also stated they learned from CSGO. Well, now players beg to differ. People are saying Valve haven't learned from CSGO by not fixing or adding certain features to CS2. Yet people like to forget 2014 to 2017, CSGO was completely broken and at times unplayable. Meanwhile, the devs would shove microtransactions down our throats and have zero communication with us. We all love to forget the days of the P250 one-tapping over the M4A4. The casuals, the sweats, and pro players couldn't even hit a headshot on land, and also the countless bugs that came with the game. And right now, Valve has done the complete opposite. I suppose you could play devil's advocate here and say, well, times have changed, especially here in CS2. Skins have become way more accepted than they have been in the past, but that would be a really bad look for CS2. For what most people call a broken game right now, imagine on top of that, Valve would be shoving microtransactions down your throat, wanting you to buy them, but also not fixing the game and meeting it to your standards. Or would they fix the game because all you care about is skins? You have to look at it from both sides of things. I also want to quickly mention the build up to CS2's full release. A lot of people thought an operation was going to be coming with the game, or something brand new, if that's a case or whatever, when practically everything added to CS2 we knew was going to get added and just end up the way it was, based off leaks, data mines, and sometimes rumors. But yet for CS2's release, all we had was false rumors as it goes for brand new content, that being an operation or a case or something to do with skins, which I also think really didn't help with the scene. As of right now, this is what some players seem to want. It's just very difficult to know what to do in this situation. Now, this is my opinion, but my gut tells me to fix the game and then eventually add more content over time. And then this way the game will grow naturally alongside the market. Let me know what you guys think down below. I know the state of CS2 alongside this video is going to be pretty controversial, but also divisive. These are some of my favorite videos to make because I like to have conversations with you guys and I get to hear other people's opinions. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Stay positive, sexy. I'm out, guys. Peace.